Hello, lost souls. My name is Nyla, and I don't think the spiritual community is ready to hear this video, but here it is. I've reached a point in my awakening that when I look around in the awakened community, um, what I see is a lot of people in their egos trying to make themselves look more important and more special than they actually are. The awakened community has created this idea of being a divine being, that you are a divine being. It's created a sense of self-made God, a self-made God complex in the spiritual community. And this idea comes from a place of ego. It comes from a place of wanting to feel more powerful and more in control of your life than you actually are. Um, it comes from a place of trying to escape reality, trying to escape what is real, you know, what is tangible, what is seeable, what is feelable. The awakened community has some aspects right. They have some aspects correct. Um, in being that we are all one, but the but there's a catch. We're all made up of um energy particles, right? We're all made up of water and energy particles. We all come from the exact same elements. We all come from um the exact same birthplace, right? We have a mother that brought us and father that brought us into the world. There's two mammals that, mated together and brought us into the world. We all come from essentially the same place. And if you go back even further, we all come from the same exact ancestors at some point, right? So yeah, we all come from the same place. We all come from the same lineage. We're all family. We're all one. You know, the idea of separation is absolutely an illusion that we've created in society in order to limit our disgust of incest, when in reality, we all have exactly the same ancestors, mothers and fathers. If you go back, um, all the way back to the first um, human, or what would be considered human, right? So we all had to we all came from the same evolutionary tree. So in a way, regardless of who your bloodline is today, um, we're all still family. We're all still mammals, breeding and procreating. There really is no separation here. We're all family. But the awakened community has created this idea in their minds that they don't really they don't really come from here. They don't really their spirit doesn't really uh come from this plane of existence. And while that is true, what would be considered our spirit, being made up of energies and electrons and neutrons and whatever, that's definitely um a what would classify as a type of spirit, right? Because that's basically what ghost hunters are looking for when they go out ghost hunting. So that's basically what the spirit is. And so they've created this idea, this disconnect from reality so that they don't have to face the harsh truths of the world, so that they don't have to face the fact that people are cruel, that the world is cruel, and it will, and it won't, and it's, and even in the animal kingdom, we see those cruelties. We see animals, playing with their prey, uh, before they eat them. We see some certain types of animals torture their prey before they eat them. You know, the animal kingdom and the world around us is a cruel place, and so they need ego, this egoic, um, spiritual belief that they are from a higher realm, they are from a higher place, that they came here from somewhere else in order to experience this, to keep them from becoming mentally unstable. Otherwise, their traumas would eat them alive. And so they have created this entire, you know, um, what I would consider to be a religious practice or idea that these things exist, that there is a false self, that the ego is trying to take over them. The false self is trying to you know um convince them that they're something that they're not. Um and that is that is a play that comes exactly from the ego. you know the idea that you can be more than what you already are as a human is an egoic trait. um the idea that you can be a divine being, even though as a witch myself, I do believe in demigods. I do believe in that. But the idea that you are one, you know that you specifically, or that all of us around the world are a divine being, it comes from a place of ego. It comes from a place of you know uh power, of wanting power and trying to gain power in any way you can mentally or physically obtain it, right? And that's how these ideas and these practices start up. um Me particularly, I follow more of a Buddhist type of belief system, right? I believe in pessimism, and trying not to spread uh pain, when it is when it is possible. Don't spread. If you've been hurt, don't take that hurt and put it onto other people, right? And I believe in all of that, and I believe in witchcraft, and I believe in the gods and goddesses. But this spiritual uh community, this spiritual awakening has become a a fragment of of what it was intended to be, in that the awakening is simply understanding that you yourself are able to gain inner peace by being your truest self, by knowing that you cannot that you can be a better person, that you can be, divine, in a sense of, you know, of of what is possible in the human form. You can have that sense of divinity within you, and you can express that inner divinity, that inner light, that inner joy, that inner peace with other people, and not that you are some type of divine being with, infinite magical powers. That comes from a place that definitely comes from a place of ego, and it comes from a place of having where your mind is stuck in the idea that you lack control of your situation, that you lack control of your home life, or your job, or whether or not you have a home. And for a lot of people it is true. They do lack control. They do lack a voice for themselves. They're in house, like myself. They're stuck in houses where their families are, you know, fundamentalist Christian, and what their parents say goes, and they can't express themselves if they're transgender. They can't express themselves if they have a different belief system. And that's what this spiritual awakening really stems from. An attempt to have that control that they didn't have previously. It's an attempt to put themselves in a place where whatever happens to them is because they wanted it to happen, and not because the world is just random, uh, cruel and chaotic, and that's just the way that it is. And there is no rhyme or reason to why life exists in reality. Um, we all have our, theories, and we have our, um, we have our science, and we have our philosophies, you know, and we have all of that. But as far as life goes, there's no real meaningful purpose to any of it. It just is. Um, and for a lot of people, that's really difficult for them to grasp or to handle. It's too difficult for them to handle. It's too difficult for their mind to come to terms with. And so they need this spiritual awakening, um, to come to a place where they can uh, uh, rest with this um, with the reality of the fact that life is meaningless. And they wrestle with this idea constantly because they can't actually come to terms with it. Mentally, they can't come to terms with it. So, in order to make themselves come to terms with it, or to force themselves to come to term with it, they create um, spiritual practices and spiritual beliefs around what makes them feel the most comfortable, in order to fully grasp and lay to rest the the actual truth of life, and that it is, as I've said multiple times already, it is cruel, it is chaotic, it is um it is unpredictable, it is not fair. It's not fair, it's never fair. um some people's lives will be better off than others. Some people's lives will be terrible. Some people will have illnesses and mental disorders that other people won't have. Or they will have them, and other people will have the means to better deal with them, while other people, you know, struggle to just put food on the table because they don't, and they won't be able to afford to um, fix or find a solution to to help dim, very much dim or deafen these issues that they have, because the medical system in the U.S. is absolutely crap. It's broken. We all know that the medical system in the U.S. is broken. The medical system in the U.S. caters to the highest bid. It 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 caters to those who are rich, and the medical system seeks to take as much money from you as it possibly can. It doesn't actually care about your health. It cares about how much money it can take out of your wallet, uh, so that it so that the people who are running these health systems can go buy their um, $50,000 yachts and whatnot, and take their $1 million vacations, and not have to worry about money while the rest of us are struggling to survive. And that's the reality of our situation right now in this society. And this spiritual awakening stuff is not going to change it. It's not going to make it better. And although as a pagan and as a witch, I absolutely do believe in magic. I also believe that sitting back and doing nothing and not taking action when you have the ability to take action is not going to fix anything, regardless of how much you believe in your spiritual practices, or what you are capable of mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it might be. And yeah, I don't see the benefit of this idea anymore. I don't see the benefit of it. I do, however, see the benefit of meditation. I see the benefit of learning to be 100% yourself around people, even if they don't like like it. You know, there are things that we can do right now to make our lives, just a little bit better than they were yesterday. But this spiritual awakening stuff is not going to fix it, and it's certainly not going to help if people are just sitting around expecting things to happen because they change certain parts of their lives, and they're not going out there to make changes to the society that we live in, right? And so I can't with I cannot morally or emotionally or physically condone this type of practice anymore. I've seen I have seen what it really is. I have come to the realization of the truth that these people are mentally uh they are mentally damaged, and they need a way to keep themselves from going under. They need a way to keep themselves from going crazy, insane. And so they turn to these practices because they're easy, because they don't require a whole lot, because they don't require a lot from you. You know, your participation in these things is very minimal. There's no requirement for you to go out of your way try and get in contact with senators or anything like that in order to make a real change. The only thing that they're doing is um, giving you a bunch of feel good stuff and telling you that, because you feel good, that the rest of the world is going to suddenly change, and that's not reality. That's, they're off in space. They've gone far. They're not in their right minds, because they're dealing with trauma that they don't know that they're dealing with. That they're dealing with trauma that they think they've gotten over. But what the trauma has really done is it's led them to these cult-like practices that um, give them a sense of control over their past traumas and over their current situations. Because if they don't feel that they have control over these situations when they get bad, um, they won't be able to mentally handle it, and they might go off the deep end. So they need something to ground them. They need something um to keep them um at peace, at least in their own minds. But what it really is just a big one big ego trip. It's one massive um mental lie. It's a mental lie. They're mentally lying to themselves in order to keep themselves happy enough to continue moving forward with their life. And I would know because that's what I've been doing for, I don't know, since I was 13 years old, so 20 something years, 20, 30, 20, yeah, like 20 something years now. I've been doing that exact thing, just I've been going through this spiritual awakening practice in order to make life bearable enough for me to continue. Sorry, it is really cold, and my mouth is really dry. But yeah, I've been going through this spiritual awakening stuff because it made life easier and it made life more bearable than having to face the reality, and than having to face the truth, than having to, you know, actually get out and try to make some real change in the world, to actually, tell people the way that it is so that they can understand why we shouldn't be taking people's rights away, especially in the trans community. There's this push from fundamentalist Christians to take away the rights of people who are transgender, and all of this spiritual awakening stuff is not going to help if there's nobody to go to the state, you know, to go to the government to protest and to actively throw themselves into action to stop to stop to stop these people from bringing Christian nationalism into our country, to stop them from bringing Christianity into our government, to stop them from bringing religion into our schools, and into our kids and our kids' lives when it is not, wanted or needed for that matter. We need people to go out there and to advocate that we continue to keep religion and our government separate, so that so that when issues like transgenderism, like people who are gay, like lesbianism, when those situations come up, we can look and that the government can look at these situations with a non-biased a non-biased focus and research, uh, to look at this without an agenda that comes from being in religion, and make the right choices for those people and not for their religious affiliation. You know, we need to make sure that the government right now is not making choices based on what they religiously believe. We need to come together and to protect the transgender community. We need to come together and protect, women's right to abortion. We need to come together and protect all human life and all human rights. And we need to stop allowing our government to enforce these religious laws um, in our country, because otherwise they're going to continue to take bigger and bigger leaps to control what you can and cannot do with your own body, with your rights. They're going to start taking more and more of your rights. They're going to start taking more and more of your freedoms. As long as we allow this to continue happening, um, then nothing is ever going to get done. As long as we keep telling ourselves that this awakened idea is going to save us all by simply overcoming our own problems and not doing anything else, then of of uh of these types of abuses, I'm just going to say it like it is, these types of abuse from our government will continue to be pushed and to be put into law. Our government currently is abusing their rights. It's abusing its power against its people. It is abusing its power against the rights of its people. And that's a reality, that's just reality. That's what it is. There is no other rhyme or reason. These people have power, and they're deeply seated in their religious beliefs, and now they're using that power to take away other people's rights because of their religion. And it's not a trial. It's not some kind of weird spiritual thing. It's just reality. It's what we have to come to terms with the fact that our reality right now is very bleak. It's very dim. It's very depressing and disheartening. It's not easy, and it never and it's not going to be until we as a people unite and finally say enough is enough, until we start rebelling against what the government is trying to do right now, until we the people, as in the Constitution, overturn our government, as we have the right to do in the Constitution itself, um, and we make changes as the people, then these things will not go away. and there is no amount of awakening, and there is no amount of spiritual unity, that's going to make it go away. We have to go out there and we have to be present and physical, and we have to make our voices heard so that these things do not continue, and so that the government does not get away with, you know, enacting these types of laws within our country. And if we don't do anything before too long, we're going to end up like China. We will end up like China if we continue to allow this to go on. It's not an easy truth to come, it's not an easy truth to handle. It's not easy at all. But it's a realization that I've come to. Um, and even though I'm not in a situation where I have, much of an ability to um speak or to be very active in trying to make changes myself because because of my current situation. Um, I'm still here on YouTube right now putting out this video. Um, and I'm putting my voice out there as a call to arms to anyone and everyone in the US right now. We need to stop fighting each other. We need to stop um, allowing political differences to political and religious differences to um, get in the way of our rights, our humanly rights. We need to drop the religion. We need to drop the spiritual beliefs. We need to drop everything right now. And we need to come together and realize that the government is trying to control us. The government is trying to enact laws that take away our rights as citizens. And even that you Christians out there who are uh who don't think you won't be affected by this, you're completely wrong. Because depending on exactly who enacts these types of Christian laws, your specific type of Christianity might be considered not Christian, and so you might not be able to practice it anymore. There may come a point where, depending on who's in charge, their type of Christianity might, their type of Christianity is the only Christianity. They have the only one, you know, one true path. And your disagreement with them is no longer valid because they run everything. And if you don't think that's going to happen to you, well, you're delusional. You know, you're tricking yourself if you don't think that that's what that's exactly what's going to happen. And I know there are lots of different Christian uh, religions that exist, but if we allow, you know, the government to start enacting religious law, eventually they're going to start eradicating different types of Christian religions as well, because your religion doesn't align with their beliefs. Your specific Christian religion doesn't align what they believe in with what they believe in, you know, and that's just what's going to happen. So whether or not you agree or disagree with someone who is transgender like myself, we need to come to the realization that this is not good for any of us. It is not good for the government to be implementing parts of Christianity into itself. It is never a good point. It is never a good idea for government and religion to be in the same place. Um, I believe that we should go back to the way the Catholic Church originally had things set up, and that in that, if you are Christian, you cannot be in politics. You cannot be in the government. Um, because it's going to make all of our lives miserable, and it's going to make all of our lives worse, regardless of whether or not you believe that. It will affect you in some way, shape, or form. It will have an effect on you. And so, you know I'm just, I'm here to speak the facts. I'm here to tell you the truth. um because I believe that's what I was put here for. I believe that's my purpose right now, is to give it to you straight, and to not bullshit you, and to not try to trick you into believing believing things that aren't true. I'm not here to trick you into believing things that come from the ego. I'm not here to trick you into believing things that, come from spirituality, even though I very much have my own version of spirituality. But my spirituality comes from what most Christians would call a dark place, or a demonic place, whatever. I don't really care. But this is the reality of our current situation, and this is a message that people really need to hear right now, especially in the spiritual community. We need to lay down our beliefs right now. We can come back to them when this situation is over, but we need to lay down our beliefs and our spiritual practices, and we need to come together in order to tackle this issue. And then we can go back to doing what we know. We can go back to our spiritual practices, but nothing is going to get done if we could continue to delude ourselves into believing that um bringing more people into the spiritual awakening community is going to make any massive change on the government and the people, or in the people in the government. um in fact, it would probably end up making them more radical than ever. uh I do believe that, you know knowledge of the sciences and of history could make a major difference when it comes to Christian fundamentalism, and eradicating Christian fundamentalism. Because it does need to be eliminated. It is not mentally healthy for anyone um to be in a fundamentalist Christian religion. It's not mentally healthy, and it's not healthy for our society as a whole. But as I said, regardless of what I believe and what I perceive to be the truth, the reality of the situation is right now, um, people's rights are at risk, and we need to be active in any way that we can be active to spread the message to to the people who don't understand what's really going on, who believe that they're just fighting some religious war that's that's keeping them in this mindset of um you know transgender people are after them to destroy their their Christian beliefs and whatnot. We need to teach these people um the truth in science, and the truth in what being transgender really is. We need to to make it known that their pastors are using them as um as wallets. That's what that's what the big church really is. It's just a big wallet for pastors. That's all it really is. Um I don't actually believe that a lot of modern pastors actually believe in Christianity. I believe that they know what the political spectrum is like right now, and they're taking advantage of people because they know, because they have this knowledge. And truth be told, um, Christian pastors, if they have actually gone to college and learned, biblical history, they know for a fact that they're lying to you about what the Bible really says, and they're not telling you the truth, because they know if they told you the truth, you wouldn't be sitting in that you wouldn't be coming back to the church and giving them your money. And that's the harsh reality right now. That's the harsh reality of it all. And you can hate me all you want for saying that, but it's the truth. A lot of pastors are just out there to take your money. That's all they really care about. And I yeah, it's rough. It really is. But we can't turn our brains off and start falling back into this spiritual um inactivity, pretending like us simply coming together and wishing really hard that things will change, that anything is going to change. And I wish it could be different. I wish that we absolutely did have the ability to make changes like that. And, you know, it and it does work to a point in your own life. You can make mental changes right now that will change your own life, your own situation, but that's only with you. It's not going to change everything. It's not going to change anything for the entire population. It's only going to change things for you. And so, as long as we're just making individual changes for ourselves and not being active to make changes for the good of everyone, then we will continue to have this shitty society that our government has created for us, because we've allowed the government to create it, because we're afraid of the government, we're afraid of their power, even though Constitution gives all the power to the people. The people have all the power. The government is just there to uphold um to uphold justice and to make sure that the people have continue to get and to have their rights. And the government has flip flopped that idea, and tricked you into thinking that they have all the rights to make these changes, regardless of what you have to say, and that's not the truth at all. Um, the government, the government is just an entity to uphold what the people want and need. That's all they're there for, and we have every right to abolish our government, as it says in the Constitution. Like I said before, our government abusing its power and trying to implement religious ideology into its laws is an abuse of power. And by constitutional right, we have the ability to abolish our government at this very moment. So, if you're one of those people who don't believe you can't do anything, uh, well, you have the constitutional right to do everything. Right? You have the constitutional power to completely abolish and obliterate our government and start anew. You have the power. The government has tricked you into thinking that you have no power, but you have all the power. The people have all of the power. The Constitution is written by and for the people, not for the government, not for the people, not for those who are in power. The Constitution protects and upholds the liberty and rights of the people. The people have all the power. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So I'm gonna end this video here, and I'm not gonna do an outro because I don't think I don't think that would be right for this video. So yeah, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.